think everyone has that one defining moment that will change your life forever. Whether it is a new job, your child being born, a life event, or even a death. Mine happened on January 4th, 2009. Sorry. I am, or no longer will be, the person that I was. On this day, I got a call that Kiara, my 13-month-old granddaughter, had fallen and was being taken to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, Adam and Catherine, Kiara's parents, were taken straight to Kiara. While waiting, Brandon Barnhill, Catherine's boyfriend, told us he was watching Kiara while Catherine attended her grandfather's funeral, and while he was dressing her, she fell and hit her head on a stainless steel table. 30 minutes later, when they finally let me go back and see Kiara, I never in my wildest dreams, because they did not warn me, did I think I would walk in and see this baby that was our world, laying lifeless and not breathing. And Kiara's parents, these kids, and that's what they were kids, crying and in shock that their baby daughter was gone. Sorry. I will never get the image out of my head of my son telling me that she was gone and that he was made to watch them for 30 minutes try to revive and shock his daughter back to life. My son, that was finally getting the idea of what being a dad was and really getting to know his daughter, just had his whole world turned upside down, and his mom could not do anything to take away his pain. You can call me stupid or naive. We all believed Brandon, hook, line, and sinker. Not until later that evening, when I got to hold and rock Kiara one last time, when I felt the gigantic knot on her head, and I thought something was not right. When Brandon left the hospital that evening with Detective Fred Scroggins, that is when we really started to worry. Cause of death was multiple blows to her head. Weeks later, when the autopsy was released, we found out she had 11 contusions to her head, a fractured wrist that was healing, and a chipped bone in her leg, meaning this was not the first time she had been abused. First came the why. Why would he do this? What could she have done to make him do these things to her? She was the baby that when she was tired, she grabbed her blanket, crawled into her lap, and went to sleep. No crying, no fighting, no fussing. She was the perfect child. It took me a while to realize there is no why. There is nothing she could have done to cause this type of punishment. Second came the guilt. How did he get past me? I spent time with this man. I even liked this man. I trusted this man with my granddaughter. I've never been so blindsided in my life. How did I not see what he was doing to her? How come I could not protect her? I would be lying if I stood here and said that I will not carry that guilt with me every single day. That is something, but in my hearts of hearts, I know what I would have moved heaven and earth to protect this baby, but in the end, it does not make it any easier. About 3 weeks after her death, I came to the conclusion that this was not about him, our families, or me. This was not about blaming everyone else about their choices and the what-ifs. This was about Kiara. I decided at that moment that I would stand for Kiara and the justice she deserves. I would stand for this little girl that I got to know and love just like she was my own child. We have the privilege of having her almost every weekend and sometimes more. We would bust our butts all week to keep the house clean and get the laundry done, so when it was time for Kiara to come over, our time was about her and nothing else. I was lucky in the beginning of December of 2008 to fly with her to New Hampshire to visit my mom and stepdad, so Kiara could finally meet my brother and his family. We spent 5 wonderful days with my family, letting them get to know Kiara, and Kiara having a blast playing with her cousins. The weekend before her death, we got to throw Kiara a late birthday party so my dad could attend. So much joy watching her play with her toys and having great-grandpa pushing her around the house on her scooter. That weekend, we got to keep Kiara from Friday to Tuesday because we had family in town. On Tuesday evening, we took her to the zoo for the Festival of Lights. When we walked into the zoo, she was screaming and pointing with excitement over the 50-foot nutcrackers. You can imagine she got that excited over the nutcrackers, how excited she was over seeing the animals. That was the last night I got to hold her, kiss her, hear that wonderful laugh, and see that wonderful smile that would light up everyone's world. Kiara might be gone, but she is with me every single day. She is in my thoughts. She is in my heart. This man took so much from our families, but he will never take my spirit or her memories. Brandon Barnhill was not arrested until 5 weeks after Kiara's death. By the day after her death, we pretty much knew this was no accident. In those 5 weeks, I spoke to, emailed, and met with Detective Fred Scroggins, only to be told he did not think this was an accident, but could not release any details. I was frustrated, angry, and about to lose my mind. On February 9th, Fred emailed me and told me, please be patient, and promised there was a means to his madness. And I'm not going to lie, I was running out of patience and thought if something did not happen soon, Fred would see some madness. Brandon was arrested for murder 2 days later. He pled not guilty, so we had to go to trial. During this time, I learned how dedicated Fred was to Kiara and all the work he put into her case. Jim Crawford and Josh Smith were the prosecutor for Kiara's case. These two men stood up there and fought for this precious baby they had never met and spoke of her as she was their own. And let's not forget Leanne, our victim's advocate. This lady listened to me talk her ear off, vent my frustration, and cry too many times to count. She has been my rock, and I'm pretty sure I could not have survived this without her. These 4 people helped us stand for Kiara, and because of them, on January 22nd, 2010, Kiara got the justice she deserved. Brandon Barnhill was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Kiara J. Smith. When I was pregnant with my son Adam, and I was a teenage mom, a friend of mine gave me a book to read called Death from Child Abuse, and No One Heard. This book is about Ursula Sunshine, a 5-year-old little girl that was tortured for 5 days by her mom's boyfriend, and on the 5th day she died. Her mom and this man threw her body into a pond like she did not matter. That book changed me forever. After reading this, my son was never involved in my personal life. He was never included in our dates, and he never came along with going to my date's house. If I did not have a babysitter, I did not go out. Adam was almost 9 before he was really introduced to someone I was involved with. I think back, if I would have remembered to give this book to Catherine, to Kiara's mom, Catherine, maybe Kiara's outcome could have been different. I wish I could give this book to every teenage or single mom out there. It just shows, just because you think you know someone, sometimes you really don't. Unfortunately, we found out the hard way. In our society, we have policemen, firemen, doctors, nurses, social workers that are all required by law to report if they suspect child abuse. This is something that should be required by all of us. We are their voice. We have to speak for them. If you see something or suspect something, please report it. I would rather people see me as nosy or a busybody than to think of a child crying themselves to sleep wondering what they did wrong and me knowing I did nothing to help them. If you know a single parent or parents that are stressed and have a lot going on, take a few hours out of your week, offer to babysit, or maybe help with household chores. There are a million little things we can do to help and prevent child abuse. That is why we are here today, so you can be educated and learn what you can do to speak for our children. Northern Kentucky ranks higher than state and national averages in child abuse and neglect. Number of child abuse cases reported in Northern Kentucky for 2009 is 8,848. Substance abuse is a factor in 40% of the homes where children are being abused. So my defining moment has brought me here today to tell Kiara's story, and hope this will help people know what child abuse is and the tragic outcome it can have. Since I have started talking, 40 kids have been abused, and by the end of this beautiful day, 5 children will be dead by the hand of their abuser. I am here to stand for our children, and I will always stand for Kiara. Thank you.